Hi, so my camera died, so I have to start again. So I was explaining Git Stash. So Git Stash works in a way that it takes the current changes that you've made and it pushes them to a stack. And this works because when you're in a directory or on a branch or wherever working and you want to change branches, you have changes that are not attached to a commit. So when you're trying to change branch, Git doesn't know what to do with these changes. And so how you can resolve this is that you can you push them to the stash stack, then you can change out whatnot, and when you want, you can pop them back off and they get reapplied to your current branch. And so this is useful for two use case scenarios that really come to my mind are that you're on a branch doing some work and then someone comes to you and wants you to show you some other work. Like let's say your manager comes and asks you to show them the most current version of the software. So you want to show them the stable master branch. But you've got some half work changes that haven't been committed yet. You can stash them, check out master, show the code, and then go back to your branch and pop the changes again. And the second case scenario is that when you push to the stack, the stash stack, you don't necessarily have to pop them back onto the same branch. So if you create a branch that's like, if you're on master and you start fixing an issue, but then you realize that you haven't made a branch, like a bug fix branch that's appropriately named, you can then stash, create a new branch, and then pop onto your new branch. So this is two sort of use cases that I use a lot. So one example, I recorded this before, but my camera died. So I'll use this as a perfect example for using issues as well. But quickly before I do that, we'll run through the example. I'm just going to reset my git checkout master. So now the use case would be that you want to, you're on a branch and you're modifying something and someone comes along and asks you to do some stuff. So let's say I'm an engineer, blah, 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 and I'm on a branch doing some feature, fourth line. I did this before when my camera died, so we'll go fifth line, or so now let's say that we are that we want to implement a new feature and we're on some branch, like we're git branch. We'll check out a new branch, check out feature. I did this before when my camera died, so second time around. So we're now on our new branch. We're having a great time modifying our file. We're like adding a third line, adding a third. We don't quite get done yet because we're committing some stuff. Started adding a third line, and then we're like continuing with our work, for instance. And then now our manager comes and he's like, "Hey, Alex, can you show me master?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure, man. Let me just check it out, and we'll have a whiz." No, because I have added the word line since my last commit, I now have changes that are not attached to a commit. So Git's not going to let me check it out, because if I was to force check out the branch, I would overwrite my changes and therefore lose them. And Git doesn't really want you to do this because it's not optimal to lose work you've done. So what I can do is I can use the stash stack, and git stash will then revert me to my last commit. This is the one I just did before. So now I have a clean branch with no local changes to save, and I can check out master. Boom, I'm on master. So now I've showed the code and I want to go back to developing, so I can check out my feature branch, feature third line, and I can go stash pop, and this will take the changes from this diff and apply them back to my current branch. So if I pop it, git diff, we'll see now that I have my changes back, and I was back where I started. Happy days, right? So now I can commit and finished adding a third line. So done. Now the second case scenario would be that you're modifying or you're creating a heap of changes on master branch, but then you forget that you're on master. You got to you implement a new bug fix, and you start making the modifications on master, and then you realize you're on master and that you didn't create a branch, which is bad, and that you want to check out a new branch and put your changes there before you commit it and before your manager finds out and gives you, hey, you committed straight to master. So I'm going to show you issues as well. So on GitHub, for instance, you can make issues. And so we say, like, we need a fourth line. We need a fourth line. It should say, hello world. So issues are very useful for creating feature requests or logging bugs and whatnot. And I'll show you quickly just now as a sort of as a side feature how we can include references to issues. So let's say that we created this issue and it's been given the ID number 2, because I already did this before my camera died, so that now we know that we have this feature request in this case, and then it says that we need a fourth line, and this is the second issue on the repository. So now we're going to go and we're going to start modifying our file. I'm going to create, like, let's say we're doing a few commits. So we'll go hello, we'll commit this, added hello. And then we're going to start modifying our file again. Now, this is sort of even a larger problem, is that we've actually created a commit on master. And this is a big no-no. So what we have to do first is we have to reset our repository. And so we can use, this is just a sort of a side fact. It's not essential to this sort of tutorial, but you can go get reset head, and then if you use head tilde, it'll remove the changes from the last commit. So now if we look at our logs again, we've gotten rid of that commit. And if we look at the diff, we have the entire change to our line, right? So now we're on master, but we're like, now we've realized, we're like, oh no, I didn't create a feature branch, hello world, to fix this issue. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna git stash. So now we're back to master, the clean state. We'll check out, create a new branch, feature, hello world. And now we're on new branch, we can git stash pop. And if we look, we'll see that our changes have been applied to this branch. So now we can commit them. And if we go, added the hello world line as requested in number 2. So if we just do the #2, when I commit this, GitHub will link the issue to the commit. So now I've created my commit, and if I push my commit on the branch, feature, did I spell that wrong? Feature, I did, F-E-A-T-U-R-E, hello. That's why, origin, there we go. So now I pushed it, and so you can see in the web interface that I have added a commit that references issue. And so I can go into the commit. And this is sort of just a really easy way of bookkeeping work that people are doing on issues. And so now you can see here that there's one thing that here been creating a pull request. So I'm going to stop this video now because we've sort of worked out how stash works and do a separate video on pull requests.